Hey, survivors, ZedFiles here, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the Rex, the Spino, the Theri, and the Megatherium in order to see which creature is the best boss killer in a special episode of ARK creature comparison. I'll be comparing them in resistance and then damage, both mounted and unmounted. I'll also cover their special damage reductions and damage boosts for each boss fight to show which creature is best for which boss. So first off is resistance. At level 1 base tame stats, the Rex has 1100 health, the Spino has 700, the Theri has 870, and the Megatherium has 740. At level 297 max tame stats, with 27 wild points and 30 tame points pumped into health, and all values rounded to the nearest whole, the Rex has 32,254, the Spino has 19,904, the Theri has 24,737, and the Megatherium has 21,041. So the Rex is far ahead of all the others. The Theri comes in second with 1.3 times less health than the Rex, and then in third place the Megatherium has 1.5 times less, and the Spino comes in last with 1.6 times less. The Theri and Megatherium have better healing abilities due to being able to eat veggie cakes rather than raw meat like the Rex and Spino, but it definitely doesn't make up for them having 1.3 to 1.5 times less health than the Rex. Next up is unique damage reductions. In the Broodmother fight, the only unique damage reduction would be the one the Megatherium gets when it gets its bug killer buff. It'll have this on for pretty much the whole battle, since it is caused by killing bugs, like the little spiders that the Broodmother constantly spawns. This buff reduces incoming damage by 75%, so instead of taking 21,041 damage for the max level Megatherium to die, it will now take the equivalent to 84,164 regular damage before dying. This is more than double the Rex's health, so the Megatherium wins in resistance for the fight against the Broodmother. The Spino will get the hydration buff, but it won't help in terms of resistance. It boosts health regeneration by 25%, but it will only be in effect when the Spino isn't taking damage, so it won't help the Spino while it's fighting. In the fight against the Megapithecus, there are no unique damage reductions, so the Rex wins due to having the most health. Now for the dragon fight. The dragon does 68% more damage to carnivores. This means the max level Rex, instead of taking 32,254 damage before dying, it will now only take the equivalent of 21,933 regular damage. And the Spino only takes the equivalent to 13,535 damage. The Theri can now take 1.13 times more damage than the Rex. The dragon's fire breath does percentage based damage, so it doesn't matter how much health its victims have, it just matters how quickly its victims can regenerate their health. The Rex has the slowest regeneration, since it has so much health to regenerate, and only has raw meat to help it. The Theri can regenerate much faster, because it has less health that it needs to regenerate, and veggie cakes that will help it more than raw meat does. Against the dragon, the Theri has the most resistance. Now that resistance is over, I'll be comparing them in damage, first mounted and then unmounted. I'll be comparing the creatures at level 297, max tame stats, and all of the creatures will have 30 wild points and 40 tame points pumped into damage. The Rex's main attack is its bite. This does 620 damage, can attack 1.2 times every second. This means its DPS, damage per second, is 744. The Spino's best attack is its swipe. This does 603 damage and can attack 1.3 times every second. This means its DPS is 783.9, a bit more than the Rex. The Theri's best attack is its claw. This does 520 damage, can attack 1.3 times every second. This means its DPS is 676. The Megatherium's best attack is actually its swipe. Its DPS is higher than its slam due to its higher attack speed. This does 320 damage, can attack 1.3 times every second. This means its DPS is 416. The Slam's DPS is less than that, at 392. Going into the special buffs that the creatures will get, in the Broodmother arena, there are lots of water puddles around, so when the Spino touches it, it will get its hydration buff. You can get the Broodmother right next to the main puddle, so the Spino will always have the hydration buff on. This will boost damage by 15%, speed by 20%, and health regeneration by 25%. The Spino will now do 693 damage per swipe. This means its DPS is now 901. The Megatherium also gets a damage boost in the fight against the Broodmother. After killing one of the little spiders that the Broodmother will be constantly spawning, the Megatherium will get the Bug Killer buff, which boosts damage by 250% towards the Broodmother and reduces incoming damage by 75%, which was covered before in resistance. The Megatherium will now do 800 damage with its swipe. This means its DPS is now 1040, 1.15 times more than the Spinos. The Megatherium also has a passive 150% damage boost to the Broodmother's little spiders, and with the Bug Killer buff, it'll have a 375% damage boost to them. So its DPS is 1560 towards the little spiders. In the footage here, the Megatherium is swiping and biting, which is just because the swipe while running becomes the bite instead, but all the damage values are still the same. The Megatherium wins in mounted damage against the Broodmother, and the Spino comes in second. For mounted damage against the Megapithecus and the Dragon, there are no damage boosts for either of these boss fights, so the Spino wins with the highest DPS, a little bit higher than the Rex's. Finally is unmounted damage, which is actually more important than mounted damage, since you will need over 3 tribe members in order to start mounting the creatures, because you should have 2 tribe members, one on a UT and the other on a Daedon, for their damage boost, damage reduction, and healing support. The levels and points pumped are the same as from mounted damage. So first off, the Rex. It will keep using the bite, and it still does 620 damage, but it now only attacks 0.8 times every second, which means its DPS, damage per second, is 496. The Spino will sometimes start by using its bite, but if you just whistle attack some more, it should start using its more powerful swipe. So its swipe will still do 603 damage, it will also still attack 1.3 times every second, so its DPS is still 783.9. 1.58 times more damage than the Rex. The Theri won't just use its claw, it will also use its headbutt. It will do 4 claws and then 1 headbutt, and then repeat. The swipe still does 520 damage, and the headbutt does 416. It attacks 0.85 times every second, and in 35 seconds it will do 24 claws and 6 headbutts, which is 14,976 damage, so its DPS is 427.9. The unmounted Megatherium will use its headbutt instead of its swipe. It does 490 damage, but it can only attack 0.75 times every second, which means its DPS is 367.5. Against the Broodmother, the Spino's DPS becomes 901 due to its hydration buff, and the Megatherium's DPS becomes 919 due to its Bug Killer buff. The Megatherium wins in unmounted damage against the Broodmother, doing a little bit more damage than the Spino. Against the Megapithecus and the Dragon, there are no unique damage boosts, so the Spino wins with the highest DPS. Now that all of the information is over, it's time to see which creatures are the best boss killers. Against the Broodmother, the Megatherium is easily the best, it has by far the best resistance and highest damage. Against the Megapithecus, when it's Gamma, the Spino is your best option to kill it the quickest. When it gets to the Beta and Alpha Megapithecuses, the Spino might not have enough health to handle it alone, especially when doing the battle back to back, but the Rex can, because it has tons of health. so bringing both Rexes and Spinos for the Beta and Alpha Megapithecus fights is the best option. Spino and the Rex are the best boss killers to go against the Megapithecus. Against the Dragon, the Theri is the best. The Dragon will do extra damage to the Rex and the Spino, since they are carnivores, and its flame attack will be even worse for them, since they don't regenerate that much health. And the Megatherium is basically just a weaker Theri, both in resistance and damage for this boss fight. The Theri is the best boss killer to go against the Dragon. Well, we have now reached the end of this video. If you enjoyed or found it helpful, don't forget to give it a like, and also make sure to be subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss any future creature comparison videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.